Are we good? Okay, welcome everybody. Roseburg speakers and storytellers from wherever you are in the world. Our philosophy is we like to learn and we like to have fun in the process. So thank you all for being here. Without further ado, let's turn this over to our esteemed Toastmaster of the day, all the way from Germany. Give a big hand for Sarah. Yay, Sarah.
Thank you, Tiger. And I know one of the most loved hobbies of Toastmasters is to travel. That's why I chose this topic for the day, travel stories. Also because last week we had some gratitude stories, and among them there were some of them about traveling. And I found this very interesting. So I want you to share some of your stories or some of your preferences for traveling, because I know that from those experiences you can also prepare many speeches. I remember one day Michelle giving us some tips of how to prepare speeches, and she told us when she has to prepare a speech, she goes through some photos of old trips and then she gets the inspiration. So why not to share some of those stories here with us? As usual, for this meeting, we have 3 parts. And in the first part, we will have one speech, one prepared speech. Then in the second part, we have the impromptu speeches, today led by Ravi. And then in the third part, we will have the evaluation of the whole meeting and of the prepared speech. And I want to go already through the meeting. And first of all, I will tell you some benefits of travel. Um, or maybe you can share in the chat some benefits that you think traveling has. And then I will share what I found in the internet. Some ideas. It broadens horizons, right? Also, it broadens one's perspectives. Beautiful sides, meet new people, exactly. Meet new friends. Yeah, actually, travel allows you to try new things, meet new people, and it helps to combat monotony. And those are just some of the many benefits of traveling. Now I want to present the technical team in charge of evaluating the whole meeting. First of all, I will call our grammarian, Lorraine, to introduce her role.
Thank you, Sarah. As grammarian, I will evaluate the use of grammar, good phrases, and improvements that I think would better improve speech. And I also have the word of the day, which is monotony. I'll put it in the chat and record everyone that uses it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. What is your favorite part about traveling?
Yes. My favorite part is seeing different sites, different natural sites like the trees and buildings too, old churches or old buildings that have been there forever and either aren't occupied anymore or are and have a new use, like turned into a school or something. Seeing what is there.
Okay, thank you very much. And now I want to call upon our timer, Michelle. Can you please introduce your role?
Certainly. As the timer, the role of the timer helps Toastmasters to be efficient and effective with their time by making sure that they stay on their allotted time. For our prepared speaker, he has asked to be shown green on 10, yellow on 11, and red on 12, because it's a longer speech. The table topics will be green on 1 minute, yellow on 1.5 minutes, and red on 2 minutes. For the evaluators, I'll be showing green on 2 minutes, yellow on 2.5, and red on 3. And for all of these, there will be a 30-second allowance before I start waving this grace, which means you're over time. Back to you, Madame Toastmaster of the meeting.
Thanks, Michelle. And I know you travel a lot. So how do you combat monotony when you travel?
Oh, there's never monotony when you travel, at least my kind of traveling. I travel fast. Actually, now not as well. I mean, not now. I'm not traveling because of my cancer. But when Dave and I traveled, we at least spent maybe 2 or 3 days in one place. But before, when I would backpack and we were in a very limited budget, I would backpack and I would go, for example, like through Spain. I went through Spain from top to bottom in like 10 days. So I'd be on the train, sleep on the train actually. I would board the train on the last trip at night and wake up in the next place, get off, go around, take a look, get on the train, go. So it's really fast. So no monotony. And it's amazing what you see. That's why I said broaden horizons. And wow, I think you're right, Sarah. I think I'm going to have another speech about travel coming up. So back to you.
Thanks for sharing, Michelle. It reminds me of my time as a student and backpacking around Europe with the cheap flights and so on. Now I will ask Siva, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, to introduce your role and afterwards to share with us something about your travel experiences.
Thank you, TOD. Hi guys, I'm Siva from Oracle Advanced Toastmasters and Linky Advanced Toastmasters in Malaysia and Singapore, respectively. I'll be playing the role of a general evaluator, which is one of the roles that people don't normally want to take because the GE is divided into 3 sections of roles they have to play. So number 1 is they have to look at the whole meeting and comment about what areas that were done well. Then they have to champion the evaluation session. That's pretty much what they do. And aside from the areas done well, they have to do the areas to improve. And the final task, which is what people hate the most, at least in the club that I'm in, the general evaluator is supposed to evaluate the evaluators on how effective the feedback that they've given ties into what the speech content is given by the speakers. So that's what I will do or attempt to do. I look forward to having a good meeting. And in terms of traveling, the last time I traveled was May this year. I went to Singapore, which is pretty much the neighbor of Malaysia. And when I went there, I was so enthralled by the efficiency of its public transport system. I haven't been there in like 10 plus years, but the bus, the train, the metro train, it was all so efficient and so user friendly. So if I could travel to a country that has such an efficient public transport system, it would be so easy to get around and tourists would love it. So yeah, I would love to travel to more countries with superb public transport. Back to you, TOD.
Thank you, Siva. Wow, it was a very insightful presentation of your role. And also, a very interesting share about your traveling. Public transportation is always a big topic when traveling. And now to go to the first part of the meeting for the prepared speech, let me tell you that travel is also great to relieving stress and to improving your general outlook of life. And this is because when traveling, people that go for landscape seeing or for walking, hiking, they think that they have other perspective of life or of the um, cities they are traveling in. And now, without further ado, I want to introduce the speaker today, which is Tiger, and will present a speech with the title Speech. And this is for the Tell I session. Right, Tiger? So please, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Miss Toastmaster of the day. So my speech is entitled Speech. It is an acronym. And the S stands for start. Stands for structure. Let's think about a speech and structure. Everybody help me out. What are the 3 parts of structure of a speech? What do we call the 3 parts? Someone's already on it. Look at this. Look at this guy. Robbie, who invited this guy? So, opening, body, conclusion. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. The opening of your speech is critical. You have to do something to get people's attention. Some of my favorite speakers, Mike Carr won the world championship online several years ago, and he started out by telling a very simple story about watching a video when he was a kid, and all of a sudden the film started going like this, and he did something that was very unique by doing this with the camera, and he got everyone's attention. And then he went on to tell the message of the story, which was, it's okay, the success is in the try. And I will come back to that. Another gentleman that I love years ago won the Humor World Contest. His story was simple. He just started out. I'm driving, and all of a sudden, bop, 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 I have a flat tire. That's it. So you know what he's going to start talking about. You can start with something that gets people's attention, such as, my name is Tiger. You can start out with a funny quote. It doesn't matter what you do. There's 2 things that are important. Get people's attention and get the message out quickly so people know what you're going to talk about. The body of your speech, in the body of your speech, we're storytellers. So in the body of your speech, tell stories. Give examples that will enhance your message. The guy who had the story about the flat tire, basically his whole story was about the flat tire, and it was hilarious. He parked on a hill, he jacked up his car, the car fell down, started moving, and his whole point was, at some point, you got to be willing to ask for help. But he told the story, and then he gave reasons and examples to back up what he's talking about. So during the body, it's totally okay to reiterate your message. As a matter of fact, it's important. Reiterate your message. You can do it 3 or 4 times. The conclusion. It's the last thing people hear. You can give a mediocre speech, have a great conclusion, and everyone will go, wow, that was a really good speech. This also works in table topic. So the thing that's important about your conclusion is you got to bring it back to the beginning. So if your message is it's okay to get help, at the conclusion, you should also bring it up. It's okay to get help. My speech I'm working on right now, I start out with, put your heart into it. That's the first thing I say. The last thing I say is, no matter what you do in life, put your heart into it. Symmetry. You want to leave people knowing what it was about. Now, the presentation is very important. And Zoom has, yes, it has limited us to this little box, but it's still important. Number one, eye contact. I don't like this myself. You guys probably notice I'm looking down because I want to see your reactions. I want to see if Robbie's laughing at my jokes, and right now he's not. So you have to look at this stupid little red light. If you want people to think you're looking at them, you have to look there. I like to look at myself, and trust me when I tell you, it's not a pretty sight. I apologize. But in order to see myself, I can tell if I'm on camera, because your presentation is very important. Your body language is important. And in Zoom, you want to stay on camera. You want to be able to see your gestures. If I go, wow, it was a really big fish, it's more powerful if I go, yeah, it was a really big fish. I'm still making a big gesture, but I'm on camera. The other thing is, standing up is a huge advantage. I'm not standing up right now, but standing up, if you're going to do a speech, is a huge advantage. You can come in close. You can get far away. You can use your stage as a timeline. When I was a kid, I used to crash on my bicycle. When I was a teenager, I used to crash on my bike. As an adult, I like to crash on the couch. So using it as a timeline. Presentation skills are very important. Eye contact, body language, and vocal variety. How many people do you see in a speech, and I do this myself, right in the middle of the camera and talk with the same pace at the same rate the whole speech, and by about 3 minutes, you're about ready to fall asleep. So you got to keep people on their toes. E, engagement. Toastmasters 101. Know your audience. Speak about things that your audience can relate to. I'm speaking in a Toastmaster meeting about how to do a speech. I would hope that this is interesting to you, because all of you are going to do more speeches, I hope. E is for execution, and this is where I think a lot of people fall down, including myself. Execution of a speech. You need to prepare your speech, write it, process it in your head, rewrite it, get in front of your Zoom or in front of a mirror and practice how you're going to do your speech, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, your timing. You want to write a speech that's going to take about 5 minutes. That gives you ample time for pauses, to stop if people are laughing. You don't have to feel like you're rushed. Because if you write a speech that's 5 minutes long, when you actually give it, it'll probably come out closer to 7 minutes long. Trust me when I tell you, I've learned this many times in my past. I'm halfway through my speech and I see the yellow. So now you're thinking in your head, okay, what do I leave out? This is not a good strategy. You want to be finishing up when you're in the yellow so you can hit your conclusion hard. You don't feel like you're in a rush. Very important. Now, let me give you a couple examples of people who are world-class, the effort that they put into a speech. A world champion several years ago was in an interview. He did his speech, are you ready for this? 112 times over a 4-year period. That's what it takes to be a world champion. Now, I know that's a little bit excessive, but if you're going to do a speech, I highly recommend to do it once, get an evaluation, do it at least a second time. It's a lot of work to prepare a speech. I do my speeches 5, 6, 7 times, 12 times. It's fun. So you want to do your speech, you want to get evaluations, and then do it again, make it better. Another world champion talked about one thing that he did. He put his hand up to the camera and then he did a timeline thing, or like to go into the past. He practiced that move over 2,000 times. He did it twice in a speech. It took about 5 seconds total in the speech. Practiced it 2,000 times. The other day, I don't want to be negative, but the other day I'm a VP in a different club, and there was a gentleman who had not put his information in. About 2 hours before the meeting, I sent him an email. Hey, what are you going to speak about? And you know what his response was? I haven't decided yet. 2 hours before the meeting. He's a DTM. He's given hundreds of speeches. I don't care how good you are. If you don't rehearse your speech, it will not come out well. It just will not. And trust me when I tell you, it did not come out well. And it's a good thing I wasn't his evaluator, because I would not have been nice. If you're going to give a speech, ladies and gentlemen, prepare it. You won't get anything out of it unless you put something deeply into it, and honor your audience. I don't care if there's 2 people or 500 people. Honor your audience. Put some effort into it. Which brings me to C. Communicate your message. The message is important. As a matter of fact, if you look at the evaluation forms for speech contests, about 65 to 70% of what you are being graded on in a speech contest is whether or not you are giving a message. And here's a trick. If you want to know if you delivered a message, let's say that Sarah gave a speech last week. When you come to the meeting the next week, go, hey, Lauren, what was the message of my speech last week? And Lauren's going, probably wasn't a very clear message. Now, I know a week's a long time, we're very busy, but if you want a message that's going to help people, change people, impress people, hit it hard. My speech about putting your heart into it. I put my heart into that speech. I'm hoping that somebody, at least one person, a week later will remember. World Championship speeches, there are speeches I heard 5 years ago. I still remember the message. So you want that message to be snappy. Put your heart into it. A name is important. It's okay to ask for help. Simple things. It doesn't have to be complicated, but convey your message. It should be personal. If it's personal to you, if people can tell that the message is important to you, they will take it to heart. And H, you guys all know me. Humor is important. Even if you have a serious speech. As a matter of fact, I think the more serious your speech, the more important it is to throw in a little bit of humor. I did a speech about suicide, and I had 5 different places in that speech where I attempted, note the word, attempted to get people to laugh because I wanted to take the edge off. One of the funniest speeches I've ever heard. Guy was talking about relationships. And I'll do this real quick. Even though I see the red, I'm seeing red. He's doing a speech about relationships. This is what he said. Women are crazy. Men are stupid. The reason that women are crazy is because men are stupid. And he had a very serious speech about relationships, but he threw in some great humor to get started. I'm done. You see, Michelle, I love this. This is why I love Michelle being a timer. So, Michelle, I know on the timing that this will be 12 minutes and 29 seconds. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Tiger. That was a great educational speech. I took already some notes that for my next speech. And now, could you share with us some story about traveling?
I hear you guys talk about traveling the world, and I got to admit, I'm a little jealous. The only foreign country I've been to is Canada. but I have been all over the Western United States, and the Western United States is as big as all of Europe. I've been to 37 states, and every state has a little bit different flavor. But my famous saying in the 20s was road trip. Class? Who cares about class? Let's go to California. So I've been on a lot of road trips. I've been all over the United States. And the United States is a fascinating country. And Canada is a fascinating country, eh? I'll tell you one quick story. I was told that when I went to Canada, oh, they don't like Americans up there. My brother and a friend of mine went into a bar. The first guy we met, hey, it's Yanks. Come on in. We did not buy a beer all night long. The Canadians bought us beer all night long. So this idea that Canadians don't like American, well, maybe the French Canadians don't like us, but traveling is fun. And yes, I do want to travel the world. I'm going to come to Indonesia for sure. I'm hoping Europe. I will get out and travel before I'm too old to do it. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks for sharing, Tiger. That's very interesting. Also, get to know your own country is also very interesting. I have done that. Also, travel a little bit in my country, and it's interesting as well. And now we have the second part of the meeting with the table topics with Ravi. Ravi, I would like to hear from you and your travel experiences.
Thank you, Sarah. The only reason that I would love to travel is because I enjoy the food that they hand out in the flights. All right. The reason I like to travel, I think we've already posted in the chat. It is because it helps broaden our horizons. You get to see new people. You get to try out new food. Although I think food is almost the same. I mean, you get various varieties of food all over the place these days. But authentic food, only if you travel to a certain place, you get to try that. So that's another reason. And seeing the sights, seeing different sounds, especially different sets of people and how they behave and interact, that's something that's really interesting to me. So that's why I would want to travel. Thank you.
Totally right, Ravi. And now the floor is yours for the table topics.
Thank you, Sarah. We've had a monotonous segment with somebody boring us to death with their 12-minute long speech. Therefore, we're going to have table topics, and I'll make sure I don't call upon Tiger to speak. Oh, Shiva's already raised his hand, so I'm assuming he's volunteering for table topics.
Right, yep, hit me.
All right. I think before I give Shiva a table topic, I was typing this in the chat, and what I'm about to say, it reaffirms, I mean, the fact that Shiva raised his hand, virtual hand, it reaffirms the thing that I was typing. Shiva, I think, or Siva, is the kid. When he was in school, I think he was the kid that would go, me, whenever the teacher asked a question, right? Okay. Shiva's probably, oh, that is him. Okay. Okay. So Shiva, the question for you is, or rather the table topic for you is, my bad. I almost sound like my teacher there. Choose being kind over being right. Choose being kind over being right. Shiva.
Okay. By the way, just before you start, do you want to like let everyone know what the timing sequence is or
Oh,
something?
my bad. Yes, I was so into the whole thing that I lost track of that. That's right.
I'm
Thank
the
you very
GE,
much.
so I have to know.
All right. Yes, I know. I'm going to get dinged by the GE today. That's why you shouldn't be pulling people's legs, I guess. All right. So in table topics, the whole point is to improve your thinking on your feet in order to be able to answer questions, maybe in an interview, or if you meet someone that you like and you want to have a conversation with them, or perhaps you want to pitch somebody. It's an elevator pitch for a product, elevator pitch for maybe you need funding for something. So table topics helps you in all of these aspects. Or maybe you want to join a school, anything of that sort, right? That's the whole point of having table topics. It helps you improve your thinking and being able to speak on your feet. Typically for table topics, what we do is we have anywhere between 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute mark, Michelle is going to show us the green card. At a minute and 30 seconds, she'll show us the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, she'll show us the red card. And every speaker will have 30 seconds of grace time after the red card is shown to finish off their speech. Also, I would recommend that once your table topic is announced, you can take about 10 seconds or so to consolidate your thoughts, maybe think about something, and then start speaking, because that would help you be in the flow rather than just starting off with whatever you hear and then struggling later on in the table topic. So with that, having said that context, and thank you, Shiva, for pointing that out. Now, Shiva, I think I'll give you another one because we gave you a lot of time to think about that table topic. Okay, so here you go. Toastmaster Shiva, fill your life with love. Fill your life with love, Toastmaster Shiva.
Fill your life with love. Now this four-letter word is such a huge spectrum of meaning for so many different people. For me, during my teenage phase, love was icky. It was something I didn't understand. And because I'm a hyper logical person, if I don't understand something, I get agitated and upset that I don't understand the thing. Therefore, I was so weirded out by this concept of love. However, as I went through the years, graduation, first job, got to know more friends, expand my social circle, Toastmasters, I found out just what love actually meant. Because it is what I said. It has a spectrum of meaning to many different people, different perspectives. So what I found out is that love doesn't actually have to be romantic love. You can love your dog. You can love thy neighbor, right? To quote an excerpt from the Bible, you can love thy neighbor. And that excerpt, love thy neighbor, I didn't understand what it was. And my own personal meaning from that was anyone that you walk down the street, you can say hi to them, give them a greeting. Even that is a small gesture that you value someone, even if they're just passing down the street. But recently, one thing that I really found close to my heart was I was writing a project. So for National November Writing Month, or abbreviated to NaNoWriMo, it is a yearly challenge where you write 50,000 words in a single month. So I wrote about my story, and it was supposed to be really dark. It was a dark fantasy story about humanity fighting against nature and horrific monsters. In the imagine a medieval time, like Ivanhoe, that sort of thing. But the central theme I wanted to capture is friendship, because to me, friendship is a sincere expression of love. And I did it. I wrote the 50,000 words somehow. So in conclusion, love has a spectrum of meaning for many different people. And to me, friendship is a sincere expression of love. Back to you.
Thank you, Shiva. And the reason I gave you that topic was because I think one of the ways you were expressing your love as a friendly perspective was you were reminding me, hey, table topic master, you need to tell us what table topics is all about. All right. Now, who else is game? Let me pick on Titin. She looks busy.
Okay, Rafi.
Okay, Titin. Here's your table topic. Toastmaster Titin, become more patient. Become more patient, Toastmaster Titin.
Becoming more patient. This is the skill that I myself has trained for many, many years due to my profession as a teacher. I teach the college students, not only them, But also I teach the smaller kids, starting from 3 years old and up. Well, those small little kids, you know them, right? When my mom came to my tutor place and saw those little kids running around and made all the mess at my tutor place, she even told me, if I do not have money, I would starve myself. I would choose to fast rather than teaching them, doing the job that you are doing. With these small kids, you need to teach them. You need to make sure that they do not fall down, they do not quarrel with each other. So yeah, this is the skill that patience is a skill that I myself has been trying to cultivate for many, many years to make sure that I do not jeopardize the mental of my students, especially those little kids studying in my place. However, I'm still learning this skill until now. And I think it is an interesting reminder for me that especially after this COVID pandemic, which has really tested my patience, that I need to pay more attention to my patients, especially to my small kids, to my small students. Back to you, Rafi.
Thank you, Titin. When you talked about being patient with the kids whom you teach, it reminded me of my mom. Well, I still live with my mom, my folks actually, and I keep wondering. I keep testing their patience maybe every other day, and that's a good example I think I can quote next time of how parents have to tolerate their kids. Maybe I don't know, but anyway, I think that helps break the monotony, doesn't it? Okay, let's now pick on Lauren. Lauren was, oh yeah, you need to be patient with me, sure. Lauren was busy writing down that I was using the word of the day and I interrupted her. All right. Lauren, we'll give you a table topic that's in line with our theme for the day today. Tell us about a place that you would like to visit with your partner.
A place I would like to visit with my partner would be either somewhere in Norway or exploring more of the US and going to Washington, D.C. or Boston, which are both cities that, well, that have history of the founding of America. I think in Norway, we would travel to Oslo, only because that's the only city I know in Norway. We would probably walk around and look at all the architecture, churches, etc., eat Norwegian food. In Boston, we would walk around too, and I'm assuming there's museums or historical sites to read about the first people that came to settle the new colonies of America. Those would probably be the top sites I would want to go to, and my partner would as well. He would lean more towards Norway because it's international and more exotic, I think. I would lean more towards Boston because I like the founding of America history. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Norway. It sort of reminded me of Thor. I think, I'm not sure if Thor is from around that place or somewhere there, right? Sweden, Norway, somewhere around that time, that place. Okay. I was thinking that you would mention that you wanted to go there because you're a Thor fan or the Northern Lights or something like that. But okay. When you do go there, do share pictures with us as well. All right. Let me check with Michelle. Do you think you'd like to participate, Michelle? Or okay, she would. All right. Michelle, Toastmaster Michelle, look for the extraordinary in the ordinary. Look for the extraordinary in the ordinary, Toastmaster Michelle.
I love that topic, Ravi. Thank you. I don't know if any of you know the author or speaker. His name is Mark Sanborn, and he became a friend because I loved his main message so much that I reached out to him and he responded. And his main message was exactly that: be or make the ordinary extraordinary. And he wrote about this mail deliverer. The man's name was Fred, and he would, instead of just the usual drop off the mail and toss it, put it in the mailbox, this mail deliverer would go the extra mile, and he became friends with the people he was delivering mail to. And it was so amazing. It was so inspiring how he shared stories. Like, for example, one time the mail deliverer saw a UPS package for one of the people he was delivering to on the wrong place. And so he actually knocked on the door and said, that's not supposed to be here, it's supposed to be over there. And he took it. And I don't know if he was even maybe doing something that he could get into trouble with in his job, but he was just so extraordinary. And I was so inspired that in my training sessions at Seven Feathers Casino Resort, I purchased his manuals and did it. The people at the casino, for whom monotony was setting in because they had to be trained and trained and trained, well, at first they were thinking, make the ordinary extraordinary. But when I was asking them to give examples from their own lives, they just came awake. And it was the least monotonous training sessions we ever had because people were engaged and they were participating and sharing. And I loved, and you have to Google his name, Mark Sanborn, and his books, Be or Make Extraordinary. I think the book was actually called The Fred Factor. The Fred Factor. And I will send you the link to it. But thank you so much for asking me that question because I just love making the ordinary extraordinary. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Michelle. In line with what Michelle just said, I think every Monday that I get an opportunity to join these meetings, an ordinary day becomes extraordinary. Let me now call on Sarah. You game for table topic? Okay.
Yes.
I'm debating between Sarah and Tiger, but I think we have time, so I'll give Sarah an easier one and give Tiger a tougher one, maybe. Okay, so Sarah, learn to live in the present moment. Learn to live in the present moment. Sarah.
How many times we don't really enjoy to be in the present because we are anxious about what's coming in the future? or because we regret something that happened already and we cannot change it. Those kind of thoughts, all what makes is to cause us too much stress. So that something that I read some years ago is that you should concentrate on the present moment and on that what you can change now, and not having these anxious thoughts about what's coming or trying to change something that you cannot change anymore. So in order to come back to this moment, one very easy technique is try to breathe and take a moment to feel the room and everything what is around you. Just be centered in the right now. Next time that these thoughts come to you about what's going to happen or some worries, just take a moment to breathe and try to think clearly. What should I do right now, or how it's going to influence me, the decision that I'm making right now for the future? This is something I'm learning to do. Thanks for the question, and back to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Sarah. The easiest way to get somebody to live in the present is to give them a table topic. What do you think? All right. I hope we have time for one more table topic. We do. Okay, so let's pick on Tiger, because Yudli anyway is not going to be speaking. Tiger, I'll put you on the spot. We'll go with the theme here. If you had to travel to the location at which any of us are located, which place would you pick? If you had to travel to any location where any of us live, which of us would you choose, or which location would you pick, Tiger?
So the idiom is, I'm turning the tables on you, Robbie, because I've already spoken too much. So you get to answer your own question. And don't be monotonous.
Okay. All right. What I would do is make a, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you, but I think there's only 4 locations, right? So I would make a 5-year plan, because I think back in the day in India, we would do that. Our government used to do that. They would make 5-year plans. The very first location, though, I would pick is Roseburg for sure, because I'd be able to. I'm not sure if Lauren is also from Roseburg, but I'd be able to cover 2 places. I mean, 2 people here. I'd be able to visit Michelle and Tiger. 3. Who's the third? Okay, so 3 of you. I'd be able to visit 3 of you all in the same time, and that's something that I would definitely do. And next, oh, she does. Okay, yeah. So that is one thing that I would do, and then I would probably go to Southeast Asia, because then I'd be able to visit Titin and Shiva as well. That doesn't mean that Germany comes last, Sarah. So I would definitely make plans to visit Germany. I've only been able to see a portion of the wall, and I think it was in the museum, if I remember right, or I don't recall where else that I saw that. Somewhere in Washington D.C. That's where I remember seeing a portion of the wall that separated the 2 Germanys, and that's something that's really interesting. So I'd want to go stand in that place, take a look, and of course also visit Sarah. That's what I would do. Back to Tiger, and again back from Tiger to me. Tiger was so enthusiastic, and I thought that he would be ready to answer the question, but he flipped it on me. I'm hoping that Shiva is going to ding Tiger on this. But anyway, I think after that monotonous table topic by me, I would want to hand it back to Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks, Ravi. That was everything but not monotonous. I really like the answers of all the participants. Thanks for that. And let me tell you that not only table topics can increase our energy, but also traveling and energy and also creativity, because we are more open to see new things, to think about other kind of solutions, so that traveling is also a very good source of creativity. And for the third part of this session, I will call upon Siva to give us the evaluation of the whole meeting. And I will request Siva not to be monotonous.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So I have an extra requirement placed on me, so I'll do my best. All right, guys. So it's me, Siva, once again, and I'll be championing the evaluation session. So the evaluation session will be broken down into 3 parts. The first part is I will call upon the evaluators and role players to give their reports. Next, I will evaluate the meeting as a whole, and finally, I will give some comments on the evaluators' evaluations. All right. So with that, first, I'll call the evaluators, followed by the role players. Right. So first, I'd like to call upon the evaluator for Tiger's speech, which is Titit. Over to you for evaluation.
Thank you, Siva. Raymond Duncan once said, if the speaker won't boil it down, the audience must sweat it out. So, Tiger, you have done a great job of simplifying the essence of your presentation to the acronym speech so that it is easily understandable by the audience. And if I may analogize your well-prepared and, of course, inspiring speech as your favorite food, illustrated on my virtual Zoom background, the delicious Kung Pao chicken, your speech is exquisite. There are so many points that I like from your well-researched and non-monotonous speech. Well, it is, we know that it is well-researched and you have practiced it several times. So I do not focus on the good things for this evaluation round. And I would like to jump into the room for improvement. Okay. As I analogize it, when I eat this Kung Pao chicken, I usually add the 3 spoonful of hot spicy chili, which is the translated as the evaluations that you may want to take. First one, frankly saying, I was expecting a more captivating start of your presentation, something that would engage more to my interest. Perhaps something such as, giving a speech is a bit like a roller coaster. It is nerve-wracking, thrilling, and involves a few unexpected twists. So let us buckle up and turn your speech into a legacy. Perhaps something like that as the opening of your presentation, in my opinion. Secondly, you have several slides for this presentation, right? So perhaps you could show it if it does not become too much of a hassle for you to change your virtual background, or perhaps you can have the Zoom host to help you, because I think it will help the audience to understand more of what you are saying if they can read it, having the visual aid of it. And for the third one, if you could jam it in, perhaps you would like to include your own transformational journey before you applied the speech formula, and how different it was after you have applied this speech formula. Before and after, how different it is from your own experience, so that it can inspire the audience to see how crucial it is to apply this formula in their speeches Yes, you have mentioned the importance of having a repeated strong message which still sticks in people's mind even after several years. And perhaps you would like to add some more differences, such as by applying this speech formula, then the audience or the speaker could enhance more the flow of their ideas. Yeah, it will be something like that. Anyway, Tiger, it is such a well-prepared speech. I know that you have done so many rehearsal for this speech, and you have prepared for this speech for 2 years, right? For this presentation. So this is the essence of what you have learned, the good thing to put in a speech. So keep being inspiring, Tiger, through your impactful and, of course, humorous speeches. I envision myself to listening to your TLI speech, your TLI presentation, and of course to enjoy this flavorful kung pao chicken with you one day, complete with the hot spicy chili. Okay, so the traffic light has been showing on the screen. Thank you, Michelle. Back to you, Siva.
All right. Thank you, Titin, for your evaluation. I like to check. Do we have a table topic evaluator or no? Because I don't see anyone renamed as a TT evaluator. We don't. Okay. All right. Then we'll go straight to the role players, the co-evaluators. So we'll start with the timer. Michelle, could you give us a timer report? If you have time, Titin, as well, you can include that.
Do you want me to report already? We still have a couple more, the grammarian and the counter.
Oh, do you normally time those two as well?
I'm sorry.
Okay, if you time the R counter and grammarian, then I'll call you last then. All right, let me make some adjustments.
Oh, okay. So you want me to report now?
It's okay. It's okay. I'll call the R counter and grammarian, then I'll call you last if you like to time them. All right, great. Okay, so next I'd like to call upon the R counter. Who did R counter?
For the R counter, I just stopped
okay.
the UDLI and it needs several minutes for it to load the analytics of the filler word. So would you please call other role takers first?
Cool,
Thank you.
All right. So next I'll move on to the grammarian. Lauren, stage is yours.
Thank you. Many Toastmasters use the word of the day. Tiger used it 3 times. Ravi 3, Michelle 3, Sarah 3, and Titin 2. I have 2 phrases I thought were noteworthy. Friendship is a sincere expression of love. Siva said that. And breathe and think clearly. Sarah said that. I only heard one phrase that could be improved. See the sounds. I'd suggest changing that to hear the sounds, because you wouldn't see the sounds unless it was on a computer and you're seeing the sound waves, which in the context wasn't what the speaker was saying. Thank you. That's all I have. Back to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, grammarian Lauren, for that report. So I guess the R counter report still needs some time. So in that case, I'll just call upon our timer, Michelle, to give the reports. Over to you.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So our prepared speaker was supposed to speak for 10 to 12 minutes. He actually noticed and was about to stop at 12 or 13 seconds past 12, but then he went on and he eventually stopped at 12 minutes and 44 seconds. So if that had been a disqualification contest, disqualified by 14 seconds. For table topics, Siva told us about filling your life with love for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And he did take 8 seconds before I started timing him to organize his thoughts. Great job there. Titin spoke about become more patient for 2 minutes and 6 seconds and thought for 2 seconds. Lauren spoke about a place to visit with her partner for 2 minutes and 10 seconds and organize her thoughts for 5 seconds. Michelle spoke about ordinary to extraordinary, 2 minutes and 28, and I guess was so excited about the topic, only thought for 1 second. Sarah learned to live in the present spoke for 1 minute and 47 seconds and also thought organized for 1 second. Tiger traveled to locations where the members are, but flipped it over to Ravi. And Ravi spoke for 1 minute and 45 seconds. Our evaluation, 15, I do apologize. I forgot to start green at 2 minutes. However, she went beyond the 3 minutes to 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So even if I'd started green at 2, it would still have been overtime. Laura, as grammarian, 1 minute and 8 seconds. We don't have a time for the counter yet. And the timer reported for 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
All right, thank you, Michelle, for that great timing report. I like that not only did she mention who was within time and out of time, but she even mentioned the time it took to think and organize thoughts. I think that is a value add on top of the regular timer role. So for that, I would give a round of applause. That was really good. I think this is the first time I've ever heard that kind of timing. I think like my 10 plus years of Toastmastering. All right. So Titin, is the report ready, or do you need me to stall a bit more?
I think it needs several more minutes. Would you
Okay.
proceed?
All right. Cool. All right. So I did take a sliver of table topic notes, but these are very sporadic and not concise. So Titin, you had a nice grin, not just a smile, but the grin. I can see your teeth. That was nice. Maybe try and make the speech maybe a bit less monotonous, because you're a teacher, right? Maybe you can act out some situations of you being a teacher, talking to the students in a good way, or a good day or a bad day. And then for Michelle mentioned Michael Sandberg, right? So perhaps focus less instead of him and more on how the examples themselves were extraordinary, because the meat of the speech is extraordinary. So maybe focus more on that. Lauren talked about different places to travel, right? To reduce the monotony, I would suggest thinking about how the places feel and sound, maybe even taste. Like, how does Norway sound compared to Boston? Because when you mentioned Boston, I could hear a bit of nostalgia, right? The founding fathers. I could hear it a bit. So maybe tap into that kind of sensory input to see how you can differentiate the places for a bit more varied expression. Okay, cool. All right. So with that, I will evaluate the meeting as a whole. All right. So the start time was 1 minute after the supposed start time. So good time management there. Some notes before the meeting started. Tiger assigned the role players and had a roll call before the meeting started. So a roll call is very important, because that is when you know where the gaps are. So a roll call is hyper important, I would say, very essential to a meeting. So good job on that, Tiger. And then he handed it off to the TOD today, which is Sarah. So Sarah gave the meeting overview of what the meeting was about. Sarah also invited role players to introduce themselves and talk about the theme. This allowed role players to have a chance to talk about the theme, because normally you'd have the introduction session and you'd call a few people and then get into the meeting. Role players may not always have a chance to talk about the icebreaker session, but Sarah did give them a chance. So I will give you props to that, Sarah. That was really good. All right. The grammarian, I'd just like to touch on Lauren for a bit. Good job pointing out the good phrases and who mentioned the word of the day. That was really good. Timer, Michelle, I already mentioned what she did well, which is good. And now I'd like to evaluate today's evaluator, which is Titin, on her feedback. So I agree with what Titin said on having a stronger opening, the effectiveness of it. I definitely agree with that. The before and after format for contrasting, that is a good device. I use that device as well when I give feedback. before you applied this thing, how was it and what changed? I think that would have a good measure on personally how you used it in your delivery and speeches. All right, so Titin, well, I noticed she likes to use a lot of symbolism in her evaluations. So a tip to consider, if you have a lot of points, you may want to think about, is the symbolism worth it? Because the symbolism itself, to set it up, it takes some time. So be careful about that because it may take some precious seconds. And I did notice, I wasn't sure if there was a challenge in there, but Tiger, if I want to throw a challenge to you for your TLI speech, maybe think about the expectations that the audience places on a TLI speech. Like, what are people attending to listen to, or what are they looking for? From there, perhaps you can figure out roughly what kind of speech you would like to give them, or what take-home message you would like to give them. Are these newbies? Are these veteran speeches? Who you like to focus on? That maybe could help tailor your speech content towards something that you like to focus more on. So with that, I could before I conclude, is the R counter report still ready or not yet?
Yeah, it's ready.
Okay, over to you then. Or how does it work?
Yes, thank you. So let us see how we did with our filler words for all speakers. We have 43A, 10O, 5 no, 33 okay, 9 and 2 like for the whole meeting. And it says that the filler, we have 102 filler words in total, and it is only 1% of the words that we have spoken for this meeting. So this will be for total all speakers. So let us try to break it down to the individual one, okay, the one that is on top of the list. Okay, speaker 1, Tiger. 6 fillers, okay, 2 okay, 2 1 O, and 1 A. So this will be for example for the breaking down of the individual filler words report. So that's all for the counter report for today. Back to you, GE.
All right. Okay, thank you, Titin, for that R counter report and a snippet of an example. So, with before I hand it back to the TOD, I would say it is a great pleasure to evaluate this meeting. I had fun, even though it was about a 1 hour meeting. And back to you, Sarah. Take it away.
Thanks, Eva. Thanks for that evaluation. That was great to have you as a guest and also to receive those comments and feedback to improve. And finally, I really enjoyed the theme of the day, also your participation, and to give you some more ideas about traveling. Have you ever heard about combining learning with traveling? Well, there are some trips intended to learn something like languages or cooking or meditation and some other practices, exercise that could be a very good idea for your next vacation. Or why not to visit one Toastmasters International Convention? That's also a very good way to travel and at the same time to learn and to meet new people. With this, I will give the word back to Tiger, or president for today.
Thank you, Sarah. I always crack up when people from around the world say, I visited the United States. I'll ask them where they went. What are the two top places? New York City and Washington, D.C. And my comment is, you were on U.S. soil, but you were not in the United States. Those two places are extremely unique. I've been to both of them multiple times. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not the United States. You want to go to the United States, go drive around Nebraska, see the farms, get out there and see the real U.S. I mean, I do recommend anybody go to New York City, go to Washington, D.C. Absolutely fantastic places. But don't tell me that you visited the United States. You didn't. Michelle knows what I'm talking about. It's just like any country. If you're going to go and just go and visit the tourist spots, you're not really visiting the country. You're just visiting tourist spots. Having said that, this has been quite the little journey, and I would like everybody to smile so I can get a couple of lovely pictures. And yes, when I edit it, I'll edit out Robbie, so don't worry. It will look better than it does right now. Okay, everybody, give me a good RSS smile. Magic number 7. Second meeting in a row, we've had a magic number 7 people. So thank you all for being here. Silva, we kind of already got your fill-in, but give us a 30-second synopsis of what you think about our meeting today as a guest.
Okay, on top of my my GE report. Okay, well, I understand that sometimes role players may be a bit limited, but it would help to have a table topic evaluator, just so the impromptu speakers get a bit of feedback they can use. I'd say that's pretty good. The rest are good. I especially like I said, the roll call at the beginning of the meeting. One of the very first few things I learned as a TOE when I just started out my Toastmaster journey. Roll call is super essential. Yep, that's you, Tiger.
Okay, thank you. Yes, the international convention's in Anaheim, California. Another place that's not part of the United States is Los Angeles, California. We have officially cut it off, and it's going to float out to the ocean in just a matter of time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Let's go ahead and shut this down. Please stick around for a couple minutes so we can figure out our next. Oh, hey, how you doing, Dave? Everyone wave to Dave. Okay, go ahead and stop the recording now, Michelle. On 3, 1, 2, 3.